Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and tonight we've gathered to talk about the Series 11 premiere episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. That's right, the Tooth Fairy's back, and he's pissed off. That's all I can say. All right, but I want to get your guys' opening on it. All I can say is, right off the bat, totally different feel, totally different, I don't know, nuance to it. Maybe that's the best word I'm looking for, because it didn't exactly feel like Doctor Who, but at the same time, you felt that it was. It's, more cinematic, very well shot. But let's hear your guys' view on it. We're going to start at the bottom this time. Let's start with Tim Wells. Go on ahead, hit it.
I thought it was good. It was very entertaining. And that's the point. I mean, you should rate these things as they come in. And it had a little bit of everything. It had some comedy. It had some drama, had a bit of sadness at the end there with the red shirt, which is kind of obvious when you get to about 45 minutes in. But I thought it was a really good first episode. I think she was great. I think this so far so good. We'll see if they can continue with it. I thought it was pretty interesting.
I'll echo Tim. I expected to enjoy this. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I actually did. She's great. I'm going to err on the side of one swallow doesn't necessarily make a summer, but a solid start for her. Dark, gritty, mysterious, and shock horror. There's death here that actually sticks. So there's a tick in the box for the chibs right there. I guess we know why Sharon D. Clark's not running anymore, so fair enough. I was really impressed with how they used the ensemble cast. It didn't seem crammed in, it didn't seem forced, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes going forward. So, but for me, the MVP of this episode, Bradley Walsh. Even though it was maybe a Ryan-centric episode, Bradley Walsh did it for me, and we'll see how Graham gets on in the weeks ahead. Solid effort, solid start. Keep it going, folks. I'm intrigued.
Okay, let's move on over to Matt Rose.
Hello. I quite enjoyed this episode. Very, as Graham just said, it's I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I thought it was a great dynamic, great cast, and it was very energetic from the moment she arrived on screen. I thought Jodie had hit her mark in every direction. I really like where this is going, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing what brings from the new season. I'm very pleased with it, and I really loved every minute.
All righty. Okay, let's head on over to the Beefhead.
Yeah, I watched it, and yeah, I did enjoy it. By no means was it the most standout episode for me. There were good points to it. I don't think Jodie, for me, has yet found her feet. She got better as the episode progressed, but there were a couple of bits that it jarred for me in the train scene earlier on. I think it was a very good and a very brave decision that your principal character doesn't show up till 9 minutes into the episode. I thought that was a very good thing. I liked the background music, although I did find it was coming in a little bit too strong, too loud at some point, whereby it sort of perhaps got in the way of what was going on in the scene. There were also, I think there were things to do, I think, to try and cajole the idea of the fandom. There's bits where she said, change is scary, new is scary, stick with me, honour who we've been. It's trying to get the idea of, I suppose, that the past and trying to get an idea with it. But there were some visible points that it was, I think, this was certainly led from a female point of view at certain points. They were the ones who were running in front. It was the woman who was the train driver. The reaction in the actual train carriage, it was Sharon D. Clark's character who was there at the front and putting herself in harm's way. So there were noticeable tropes that I was seeing there. I hope they get past that. I wasn't there looking for it, but it was quite evident. So it was solid. I enjoyed it. I want to see where they go with it. So, yeah, by no means do I think it's the worst regeneration episode, but by no means do I think it's the best either. I think it's a good, solid opener, and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, it does have a lot of stiff competition, to face up against, between other Doctors opening episodes. So I can agree with you there. All right. Go ahead, John. Your turn.
Well, I thought it was probably the best opening episode for a new Doctor we've had ever. The cinematography was amazing. The music was incredible. Direction, again, amazing. You could tell they were using a writer's room in this. I think a lot of the dialogue was very fluent, realistic. The villain could have been better, but then again, first episode. I still think it's quite strong, and the CGI effects were amazing. There's only one problem I had, and that was with the pacing of the episode. I think the pacing was all over the place. But again, apart from that, solid episode, best opener we've had.
All righty. So there's a nice positive vote going on there. Okay, Doctor Who commentator.
Well, I've seen it twice now, and must be said, I was finding it hard to really love it. I mean, it is a great episode, but frankly, it was my same feeling towards Torchwood Miracle Day, which my feeling to that was Miracle Day would have been a great series on its own, but because it had Torchwood attached to it, it kind of ruined Torchwood. Now, this hasn't in any way ruined Doctor Who. I mean, this is just one episode, and it's a fine episode. Like I said, I liked it, but I found it hard to love it. I mean, the CGI was great, the visuals were great, but like I said, pacing was a bit all over the place, and the soundtrack, it's very obviously not Murray Gold, and like this is an entirely different feel to it, and that's why I said it was hard to really love it, because we've had 10 years of frankly a certain feel. Frankly, I mean, even though you get Rossi Davis and Stephen Moffat, you can kind of see differences in their eras, but they are some similarities you can tell, and just this whole thing, this one is now a bit dark. Really, the only thing that truly felt Doctor Who to me, for the most part, was the Doctor herself. Jodie really did feel a lot like the Doctor. It felt like the Doctor was kind of an entirely new science fiction, if anything, and that was certainly one of my problems with it. But I am certainly hoping it's going to get better formula. I'll probably get used to it. That's the one thing I'm certainly hoping, that this new tone, I'll probably get used to it. Although, must be said, I am wondering right now, are there a lot of parents who are going to be complaining to Ofcom about their children seeing something so dark? But that's a whole another issue.
All righty. Okay, let's head on over to Lee. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? Personally, 8 out of 10. I liked it. It was good. There's quite a lot of things I want to say about it. Well, the original things I wanted to say about it have gone out the window, as half an hour after the episode ended, I had a phone call from my mom, and she turned around and said, "Guess what? I've just watched Doctor Who." She's never seen it before. She's never seen it in her life. She watched it because Bradley Walsh was in it, and she loved it. A lot of things I had to explain to her over the phone, but this new series was, to me, is that phone call. Who is this person? Who is the Doctor? And that's what I quite liked about this episode. It was new. It was refreshing. A couple of things I didn't like about it was the montage where the Doctor was making her screwdriver. It seemed a bit MacGyver 18, walking into a shed with a lawnmower and some nails and come out with a sonic screwdriver. I was expecting the music to go ding, 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 like that type of music to it. But episode-wise, I thought it was great. There's a lot of character development to come. Yeah, that's screwdriver. There's a lot of character development to come. I like the way that the Ryan and the Graham characters have got a lot to do. Obviously, Graham's lost his wife. Ryan's lost his grandmother. They don't really see eye to eye. They're going to be forced to now. The Yasmin character, I don't know. She seemed a little bit faded. Not much there at the moment. But that's just, my opinion. Overall, score-wise, love the score. That end theme music. Not a lot of people liked it. I personally thought it was great. It's a great take. Very philharmonic. I liked it. Overall, 8 on 10. And great episode. Looking forward to what's coming next.
Alrighty. Yeah, I was halfway expecting to hear the A-Team were making an assault craft out of a riding lawnmower music to start playing. Okay, let's go to Josh since he just popped in. All right, Josh, what are your thoughts on this one?
I thought it was pretty good, but I thought it was a little bit too ambitious for a first episode because so much happened in it, and as a result, the plot lines kind of got a little weird. Like, I don't understand what the point of, like, half the stuff with the aliens were. Like, we learned about a dead sister, and then that's all we learned about with them. And then it was just a little weird, but it was a pretty good episode overall. And, Jodie Whittaker is definitely the doctor, and I didn't have a doubt about that when I was watching the episode, so.
I can agree with you on that. Yeah, I think she carried it off very well as the doctor. I think she really stood, her ground as far as that goes. Okay, William, you're up next.
Hey now, everybody. I love the visual effects in this episode really stood out. You got to give props to that company that did it. They did a great job. The story was great, and I got my answer in the first episode when we did the discussion of the new cast and which one of them was going to be a red shirt. Right off the bat, I got my answer there. It was a little bit sad too to see somebody pass away, get killed like that. Even though that's not his name, the Tooth Fairy was a very unique character. But even though we don't see what he's doing, you hear the sound effect of the bone being breaking and the tooth being pulled like that. That's really good. In my opinion, I don't think it would do anything to the kids, but just the kids, but it shouldn't be awful for them. They're not seeing anything being done. So that's good for that. I'm looking forward to see the rest of the season. In a weird way, easily instead of a new alien doing this, you could have used a Santaran going berserk and doing all this, just to be simple, to make it simple. But again, that's up to Chibnall. You gotta. The actress stood out pretty great as the doctor. You gotta give a props for that. Hopefully, hopefully in the few, maybe in the next episode, so on, she get to find the TARDIS, which is the main search. But what unusual watching this story, it didn't like Beef said earlier, it didn't stood out like a Doctor Who. It reminded me more like the X-Files or Quatermass and stuff like that. That a certain character is in every episode and runs into scenarios and other characters that have to face whatever is happening during that episode. That's what it reminded me about. Since these other 3 character actors are going to be for the rest of the season, so that makes it unique. In an unusual way, when she finds her TARDIS, she really doesn't need them no more. She could just keep going on and have her adventures the way and face whatever she faces during the rest of the season. So, like I said, this looks great as the first episode. Is it the best one? No. I hope the first doesn't go away. And I can't wait to see the rest of the season.
Okay. So let's move on forward. Okay, next up, Lady Neo.
There's that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the episode is good. It's not amazing. It's not spectacular. It's like, oh my gosh, I love her and all this nonsense. No. I did like how they didn't harp on the whole woman part. That was the main thing I liked. The theme, I did hear the theme, the new Doctor Who theme. I'm gonna have to get used to it. That's all I can say about it. I liked some of it, but it's that I guess we call it the underlining part of it. I didn't like that part. I felt like it didn't need to be there. But anyways, overall, decent episode, decent cliffhanger, decent CGI. You can really tell where they put their money at. Character-wise, it was very good and slightly predictable.
Alrighty. See, next up, let's go to Elijah.
Well, yeah, I've only seen this episode once, so a few things that stood out for me. Definitely felt fresh. After watching it, it totally slipped my mind that, the Doctor is even female. Like, it's just the Doctor. She totally pulled it off. There's no doubt about it. She is the Doctor. The theme music kind of has that Trial of a Time Lord bassy subwoofer feel to it. Some little callbacks, for instance, the transmat at the end kind of reminds you of season 12, Ark in Space and that. And then Logopolis with the crane. And the CGI was great. The companions are friends. I like their backstories. That gives them, they're all a little different, but in the same way they're connected. And overall, a great first episode.
Is that better? Right, okay, yeah. Sorry, I really did like this episode going into it. The opening scene to it was very broad churchy and cinematic view. The visuals were good. That's what I'm trying to say. The visuals were good. Jodie Whittaker, she got me from the get-go. When she popped up and she just went into her thing, fantastic. She was a bit goofy, but at the same time, she had steely resolve, which I was worried that she didn't have. But when she was facing up against the warrior creature bloke, she got me there. And I thought, yeah, she's got balls. So I like that. The characters, I'm more inclined to enjoy Graham over, even though this is Tosin's story. I found a bit about Tosin when he's riding the bike. I thought he was a bit too old to be looking like someone trying to learn to ride a bike. Had they put him as a little child doing that, it would have worked a bit better, like a flashback. And then having him still having to deal with that. The overall story itself, it was dark in some places, and it kept me on. I like the way the pod cracked open. That kind of jumped me a little because I didn't expect that. And the death scenes of certain people, quite gruesome, but it was done very well. The theme tune, spot on. What more can you want? Good theme tune, and you know what? I can't wait till next week myself for the next episode.
Alrighty. All right, and Connor Farley, last but certainly not least. Go on ahead.
Bit of a new experience for me because I actually watched this with my parents and they were blown away by it and I was blown away by it. I thought that Chibnall was going to be the hero of the hour, but it actually turns out that it's Sagan Akinola because as an appointment, that's fantastic. That's just brilliant. That score is insane, I think. It's new, it's dark, it's gritty, it's fresh. It's everything that you want of a new era. As for how it doesn't feel like Doctor Who, but it does, I like that as well. It feels very much like, as someone that is a fan of the 9 o'clock BBC dramas, it feels a lot like that on a Sunday night, which are very high rating shows at the moment. So to have a mix of that and then also the goofy sci-fi of Doctor Who, I think is going to work really well in its favour. As for the cast, Jodie Whittaker really coming into her own. I have to agree with Beef. I don't think she's quite there yet, but she's still great. Bradley Walsh, though, after concern that he's a daytime quiz show host, light entertainment presenter, there was a lot of concern about his acting ability, which he's actually proven many times before. But that one speech at Gracie's funeral, you just got to watch that and you know that you're probably on for one of the best companions of all time. He's that good. Philip's point about Ryan, I mean, he had a disability, so the fact that he's not a kid learning how to ride a bike, I took that as just like it's a developmental thing. But it gives him a lot of character. And that's one of the things that I've noticed about this new version of Doctor Who, is that it's more character driven than plot. You relied on Moffat for a good plot. You rely on Chibnall for great character development, and that's exactly what we've got already in one episode. All the characters are extremely likable. All of them had a purpose. All of them had a story to tell in this, even in just the space of an hour, where some of them even had just 5 minutes screen time. But yeah, I loved its grittiness. I loved its realism. Very, very dark for an episode that has actually, as an era, has been sold to us as jolly, happy, positive. You have a lot of, I mean, I can't remember a time where Doctor Who has tackled, and I'm surprised that nobody has mentioned this, the big C, cancer. That kind of shocked me. Something that we'd obviously heard about Ryan's dyspraxia prior to the episode, but we didn't hear about the fact that Graham has cancer, and that was kind of a nice twist. And also at the beginning, how you had a bit of you're being led down the garden path a little bit, because you thought that Ryan in his vlog was talking about the Doctor, and then it turns out that at the end you had him talking about his nan who had just died. Kind of expected, because I knew certainly from filming that there was some funeral scenes. So overall, I just think that they've got the realism right, they've got the darkness right. Styling it like a 9 p.m. BBC drama is not a bad thing. I actually like it. I like it a lot. And in fact, I think that it's the best direction that they've taken in quite some years, probably since Tom Baker. And at the end, which no one has talked about as well, the cliffhanger, very season 12 as well. I think that that's a very nice cliffhanger, beautifully shot. The cinematography is incredible. Like on a HD TV, massive TV, it's amazing. So overall, I just think it's an absolute job well done from Chibnall, to be fair.
All right. Okay, we are at hands coming up. So, all right, first person had their hand up was Texas Tim. So go on ahead.
Well, I was going to mention what Connor just did about the cliffhanger ending. I think that was a good idea, and I hope they keep that up. It's very, like you said, very Tom Baker, very, very first series, Hartnell, whenever they would just bounce into another episode, and you'd have to wait and see next week what it was going to be. That's a very good thing. That too, and they do seem to be going out of their way to make it very different as an opener. I mean, like that business at the end with a long trail about who the guest stars are going to be for the rest of the series. That's unprecedented. That's a pretty cool thing to do, I would think. Yeah, this was really good.
Okay, DWC.
Yeah, kind of going off on what Tim said about how it's made to look very, very different. One thing I've seen is I think Chibnall did actually say that he wanted this series to be a jumping on point for Doctor Who, although I think Moffat said that for the last series as well. And again, we're judging kind of by one episode here, but I'd say, yeah, I mean, we've all said it's a very different feel to Doctor Who right now, and I'd say this is very much a jumping on point for the show. I mean, they didn't really do much of a hark back to anything previously, and I think that's because they're trying to make a way of you don't really need to for this show. Yeah, I'd say this is very much a jumping on point for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Okay, Josh?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of echo what everybody else was saying. I got a real classic, vibe as I was going through the episode. I was able to kind of watch it twice, but on my second viewing I didn't get all the way through. But anyway, I just got a really classic, vibe to it. And sorry, I'm a little sick. And I think that they're just trying to reinvigorate the show in new ways, and I think that they're finally taking it seriously and not necessarily marketing it as a children's show outright anymore like they used to, because it was really dark, especially for a season opener. We haven't had like a real companion death since Adric, right? We haven't had a companion death like that. So hopefully, like I'm just hoping that it's not like something where like Grace can get like sorry. Hold on 1 second. where Grace can get reincarnated or something, because I really think it would be interesting to deal with death, throughout the series, instead of having the Doctor magically reincarnate people, which I never really liked anyway. So, sorry.
Okay. William?
And there's a question maybe somebody could give an answer to. When she was creating her Sonic, did she use any metal from that pod that the I say Tooth Fairy came out of? Did she use any metal from that thing? You could answer. You could unmute and answer that question.
Well, it looked to me like she mainly used the stuff she got, like the spoons, the steel, and whatnot like that. So at least that's the vibe I got. Okay. See, Lee, you were up next.
I have to go back to what Josh was saying earlier. Excuse me. But yeah, I totally love the fact that they were bringing in the aspect of the companions. The companions played a lot of this story, don't you think? I just think it was more. I found it personally. It was like watching an episode of, say, Black Mirror or The Outer Limits or something like that. That's how I gathered this story. It was only until Jodie Whittaker appeared on screen, I was like, oh shit, hang on a minute, I'm watching Doctor Who here. There's a lot of Outer Limits stuff going on. But the companions and the Doctor's scenario, I think, worked better than that has been for quite a while. She who should not be mentioned, Peter Capaldi's ex, that one. When she died, I thought that was a great thing. These companions are real. They make it look real. All of them. Graham, like you've just said at the funeral, I think that was a great speech. It made it look real. Yeah, Clara, that's the one I was on about. Clara made it look real. This Graham made it look real. And I'm not saying that he didn't, but the Ryan character made it look real. There's a lot of people going through this. I've got a friend of mine who's actually does suffer from the same disease. Well, it's not even a disease, same disability. Then you've got the likes of the wife. She died. How's Graham going to deal with that in the future? I think the whole thing is just going to be brought as like a family show for the first time. There's a lot of Chibnall in this. There's a lot of Broadchurch in it. This is why the storyline is not just purely science fiction. Bang, we're going to go solving problems. There's a lot of story, a lot of home, a lot of heart, a lot of just everything. And that's what I quite liked about this first episode. A lot of things I didn't like, but 99% of the time of the episode, should I say, it was loved, and I can't wait to see it go further. I rambled a bit there. I know what I'm saying up here. Sorry, guys. Carry on.
DWC.
Yeah, mostly I just wanted to bring up the theme tune. We obviously heard it right at the end. And did anyone else get a total vibe of something like somewhere around, well, just I want to say classic era in general. But equally, you kind of saw the behind the background of the credits. If that's supposed to be the actual visuals we're going to get for the opening theme, does anyone else get a sort of John Pertwee era feel about all that? So, and equally, again,
Absolutely.
the whole theme tune itself, is it very classic Who in this way? Did anyone else get that?
Yeah, a
Absolutely.
bit. Yeah, just a bit. Okay, Connor.
One of the things that we, I think we're talking about was that the companion situation is that there's 3 companions, 1 Doctor, and last time we saw that was Peter Davison, and it kind of failed. And I think, judging by 1 episode alone, which is extended, so it could obviously change, I think that it was a good use of all the companions, to be fair. I think as a start off, it was probably a better start than they made with Peter Davison when it was that exact same situation. And to go off what Didi was saying about the title thing, it looks kind of psychedelic, I think, in a way. And yeah, the theme tune is just incredible. It's I think it's personally one of the best that they've done already. So I'm happy about that.
All right, Beef.
Echoing something that Graham said earlier as well about Graham, no pun intended, with the name being probably going to be a great companion. I think he is going to be a fan favourite for those who, like Connor said as well, for people who had doubts about his acting chops. I've seen stuff he's done outside of daytime TV, and he is a really solid actor, and this proved to be the point there. But what I can see about this, and what I hope is going to be a good thing, perhaps with Jodie's version of the Doctor, is something that I've said before, that she's going to be a fixer, she's going to be a builder, a tinkerer, a maker of things. And it seems to be that the impression you're getting with each companion is that they are in some way broken. And by that, I don't mean Ryan's dyspraxia. What I'm pleased that they didn't do about that was the regeneration energy cured his dyspraxia, because I think when you have a real world disease like that, you can't just make a magic cure for it. So I'm glad they didn't go down the easy route on that. But what it is you can see that there's a bit of a broken family dynamic that you get from the start between that. There's a clash between Ryan and Graham, and that Yaz isn't happy or satisfied in her job because she's not necessarily recognised. She feels she deserves better or is capable of better. So everyone has something that needs fixing in some way part of this. So maybe I'm hoping that this is something that we're going to get as things progress and go along further.
Okay, Graham.
Just to carry on with what Beef said there. That's a good point. The fixer, the tinkerer, the engineer, so to speak. The whole concept of devising your own Sonic. It's a combination of John Pertwee, the innocence of Matt Smith, the goofiness of David Tennant, and hell, even a wee bit of Doc Brown in there. So first impressions, decent. Let's see where it goes.
Okay, Philip.
Sorry about that. In regards to the companions, I'm quite happy that everybody in this had something equal to do within the story, that no one was left out, and at the same time, the cohesiveness of putting them together went very smoothly. There was no sort of false jamming them together. It was all easy and straightforward. So I like that of it.
Okay, John.
So I can't remember what somebody said something about being realistic in the episode. I can't remember who it was, but which is true. It was quite realistic. And one thing I've got to praise him for first is he actually killed off characters, even if they're just like random people. Like, you finally see people die again, because it is a drama, like people do die. But I think one of the biggest sort of plot holes was about, I don't know how much definitely, I think it was about 6 people died this episode. We see them die and we don't hear anything else. Like, surely there should be like some big investigation about all these bodies just turning up everywhere. Because we don't think the Doctor's gone to uni or anything, because it weren't mentioned at all. So what happened to these dead people? They just went, vanished.
All right, Elijah.
For those of us who watched on BBC America, bad idea, false advertisement. They labeled it as a simulcast. Yes, they did start it at the exact time as the UK, but they decided to put ad breaks in and have a really stupid pre-show and after-show. They didn't even show it in the correct aspect ratio that they filmed it in. They had some cut scenes that they're showing later tonight, calling it the extended edition. And yeah, don't watch BBC America.
Yeah, I keep hearing from several people now that they kind of like dropped the ball on this one in a way. I can understand that they have to put breaks in there for ads and things like that, but don't advertise it as a simulcast when it really isn't. Sure, you started at the same time, but a simulcast means everybody across the planet is getting the exact same broadcast at the exact same time. It doesn't mean, oh, we started at the same time, but yeah, they didn't finish to what, like a half hour after the other one did. It's like, so it is kind of a way they're false advertising that. Okay, Lady Neo, go ahead.
Oh, yes, I watched it on BBC America. So what if they, took out little bits and pieces? I understand they had to do the ads and everything. I'm not making a big deal out of it. It's Doctor Who. I enjoyed what I saw. Of course, if I want to look at the little bits that they missed, they're going to show it on YouTube. No big deal. Oh, my goodness. Relax, people. Anyway, what I liked mostly is how the little quirks the new doctor did. I'm thinking the fried egg sandwich is the new fish fingers and custard. That's what I'm thinking, which I thought was kind of cute, what she said. Now I like the bit when they're looking for the TARDIS. That's the pinnacle point I love. I like that they're trying to find the TARDIS. I mean, I know possibly they're gonna, I guess, get the TARDIS in the next episode. I'm not sure, but wouldn't it be nice if they didn't? What if they like you see the TARDIS, and then just as she's about to get in there, boom, they got to go find it again. That would be a nice pinnacle thing. And then maybe midway through, boom, the TARDIS, that you're able to do whatever they need to do to get it or whatever. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, overall, this did not feel like a Doctor Who-esque kind of thing. Chris Chibnall, Broadchurch, hello. But yeah, I liked it for those parts. The transition was good. Again, I got to get used to the theme. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I literally don't like that. I don't like that underlying part. It gets to me.
Okay, Connor.
I got to say that a lot of props has to go to Jamie Childs, because he's one of many, but there's a very clear distinction in, I think, the change in directing. I think that it's almost Hollywood now. There's a lot of care and attention taken into the entire process of shooting the episodes, and particularly in the Tim Shaw shots. It's very hard, I think, to make a villain, especially in a show like Doctor Who, look kind of menacing. But he really does achieve it here, especially when it's something as stupid as a tooth monster, in effect. You always saw, like, there was always some billow of smoke or something, or some shadow in every shot of Tim Shaw, and he was always in a darkened sort of area, and it was fantastic looking. It was just, I've got to say that the direction is going to be a standout this year, and especially, I think, on the villains, it's going to really be something that pays a lot of dividends to the series as a whole. It's going to make it scary again. It's going to make the villains maybe even more memorable again, even if they don't do an awful lot in the story.
Sorry, I like the little callback from the Christmas Invasion where David Tennant sparks out and the regeneration energy comes out of his body. The same thing with Jodie, but it was coming up and down through her whole body, and then that little bit of it comes out of her mouth and floats away. That was a nice little callback. I like that.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up everyone lost their minds over a BBC article, or some sort of article somewhere, where it said, when in relation to the Doctor, or Jodie specifically maybe, said gone are the eccentricities or daftness. So I can't remember the exact quote now. But I've got to say, having looked at this, is that a lie? Because still seemed pretty eccentric to me. And if anything, I'd say that, I mean, as I was going on about in my opening, if anything, I'd say the show itself lost the show around Jodie lost its eccentricity, but I wouldn't say the Doctor is lost the eccentricity at all, unless this is just a one-time thing in the episode or something. Oh, and also, just another point while I was thinking about that, did anyone notice Graham? There was a line Graham said where he had, "There's no such thing as aliens." Has everyone completely forgotten the Sycorax ship in the Christmas Invasion? Because that whole thing was to introduce to the world that aliens existed. And does Sheffield not look at the news in London or something?
Yeah, you got to remember, this is Sheffield. It's kind of like, so you're way out there a bit, I think. It's him northerners. Okay, Graham.
I agree with DWC there with regards to the eccentricities. I don't know what the article was getting at. I guess it was just bullshitting. I mean, gripe is essentially we had the initial reviews this episode when the press screening happened, and they were all complaining about how the alien menace didn't really play a particular part in this episode. I call foul on that. It was quite prominent on this. It wasn't necessarily maniacal or like a major threat, but it did have a prominent role. So judge it and view it for yourself, kiddies. Don't go by press reviews.
Okay, Lee.
Just skimming on what DWC just said about continuity. In Voyage of the Damned, when the TARDIS was floating, it homed in on its nearest planet, so it automatically goes beam to Earth. In this episode, it was above Earth and now has gone to another planet. But continuity and all that, that's just my opinion. Secondly, when it comes to the monster of the week, as we're calling it, the Tooth Fairy, if you like. Any Star Trek Voyager fans out there? Does the word Herosian mean anything to you? I think maybe a rip-off from the Herosians there, who were, if those of you have not seen Star Trek Voyager, they were a hunting race who went down hunting their prey and took a piece of their prey and used them as trophies. Bit of a rip-off, my opinion.
Well, fair game. The Herosian were kind of rip-offs of the Predator from that movie series. So, okay, Josh.
Going back to what DWC said about the eccentricities and all that stuff, I thought Jodie's version of the Doctor, from what we saw, initially in this first episode, was really kind of her main character trait was that she was eccentric and really bombastic and kind of out there, and it really reminded me of Tom Baker. So I really don't understand where that article is even coming from, because she was really eccentric. So I don't know what they were trying to say.
Got to give kudos to Chibnall as well for including this in the North, which seems to be it's probably going to be the base for the next 3 years, however long the companions stay on. Also, the inclusion of Northern humour. It was direct when the bus driver was talking about his wife, Bingo, being one of the strangest things of the night. That's very Northern. I liked it a lot. I laughed. It was very funny. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for the humour as well.
So I think people were saying about how they don't remember all the alien faces beforehand. I think you can remember season 5 is still canon, so the universe still reset. So anything mainly in the RTD era, it did happen, but timey-wimey with that shit Moffat did. So it did happen, but people won't remember it, which is why. Yeah,
they did make an allusion to that in the Next Doctor and all that. Why didn't anybody remember later on that there was this big giant cyber guy walking around in London, in the 19th century. So I can see where they're going with that. Why nobody would remember it at this point. Plus, we got to remember it is a time travel show, so time's always in flux, and that's the way I look at it. If you're here to complain about continuity, it's about a time traveler. Get over it. Okay, Graham, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know we're quite jokingly referring to Tim Shaw as a Tooth Fairy, and despite the fact that it was greatly cinematically shot and directed, let's just be thankful it wasn't The Rock in a tutu.
With his smoldering intensity. Okay, so anybody else, any other things you want to bring up? All right, John, you're waving your hand around. I'm assuming you got something. Go ahead.
I want to talk about it's not actually in the episode, the trailer after the episode. Well, it's still in it, because there's 2 trailers. The one saying all about all the celebrities coming up, or actors, why did they do that? I don't understand why we need to know the actors' names who's coming up, because 1, I didn't know half of them anyway, and 2, I think everyone would prefer an actual trailer for the season rather than all these actors just standing there giving out these weird looks, these cinematic looks. But, what can you do?
Well, I think they're trying to just show off, the guest list that's going to be coming up. It's like, I'm just upset that Claudia Jesse didn't make the cut for that trailer. But okay, Lady Neo.
Props to the transportation pod Hershey Kiss. Props to that thing. I'm not eating that. Ew, nasty. To the tentacle creature. Props to the tentacle creature that Tim Shaw was using. That thing was weird and creepy. Ugh, gave me the shivers when I first saw it. Can't remember the last thing I wanted to say. But yeah, I really wanted to say props to that Hershey Kiss creature because holy moly, I was like, it's a Hershey Kiss. Or a drop, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you guys have it over there. You guys said you don't have Hershey Kisses over in the UK, so.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of more than anything was a Hershey's Kiss. I was like, well, goodness gracious. But I could have sworn I've seen an alien ship like that, kind of similar before in another series, but I just can't place. I think it might have been Space 1999. I'm not sure, but okay, Connor.
John was talking about the guest actor reel there. I'm kind of glad that they didn't show a full series trailer because I like not knowing anything now. I've kind of got really used to it, and I think it's going to work well for the show. And also, I've heard that as far as guest actors go, that's not all. And there's actually bigger names to come as well. And it kind of makes sense why they wouldn't spoil that right off the bat.
Yeah, I think it was just to give us a taste because from what I've heard, yeah, I agree with you that there's more people that we haven't seen announced yet that are going to be coming up. So, okay, Lee.
Just going back to what yourself and Connor just said, I can understand why they did the guests who are appearing at the end. The whole point of this has been aimed at new people. It's a complete series reboot, if you like. So having these new people, like I mentioned right at the beginning with my mum joining in, having these people at the end, these are your guest stars that are coming up in future episodes. Keep watching because these people are going to be appearing. I can understand why they did that. I may not like it, but I can understand the principle behind it.
Yeah, because these are very big names, even worldwide, like Alan Cumming. Come on, he's been, everywhere. He's won everything from Tony Awards on up. And so just the fact that they managed to land him for Doctor Who is in itself amazing. I'm really looking forward to his episode he's in, which I believe is The Witchfinders. So, okay, anything else anyone wants to bring up? Okay, I guess we're good then. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll rate this one and put it to bed, shall we? Okay, now we're going to start at the bottom, work our way up again. So let's start with Texas Tim. Out of 10, how do you rate The Woman Who Fell to Earth?
It was a lot of fun. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Okay, Matt Rose?
It very much pleased me. I'm looking forward to the series. It's a 9.5.
I'll give it a solid 9. I think Jodie's performance was incredible. The story was a great story. The cinematography was amazing. The music was great. Everything almost perfect, apart from the pacing. I think the pacing was quite bad. It was all over the place. I think if I had a bit of a longer runtime, even like 10, 15 minutes, it would have been a much better episode, but still 9 out of 10. You're almost there. Good opener.
Yeah, I concur with that. Solid pacing, decent story. She's fine. The issue after tonight, the issue is not going to be better. It's going to sink or swim by the writing. Bradley Walsh is, I can tell, it's really going to be one of my favourites amongst this TARDIS team. So yeah, 9 out of 10, and let's see where it goes for here. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, I agreeing with John. Yeah, there are pacing issues. I was floating between a 7.5 and an 8 for this. I'm going to give it an 8. The music was good, but it did get in the way at points. Like I said, I don't think Jodie is completely there yet, but I don't think any Doctor necessarily is 100% there on their first outing. I think there is still a distance to go with her. Graham's going to be solid as a rock. He's going to be the standout star. Yeah, there's a lot of stars in the north, from the north, coming in the next time trailer. So this northern theme is going to carry on. We said it was going to be Sheffield all the way. Sheffield Steel. There you go.
Well, like I said, I didn't hate it, but I didn't quite love it. So I'll give it a 6.5, really.
Solid 8 for me, and I agree with what most of you have said. Doctor, good. Companions, good. Bar one. Yaz, not. Yaz, should I say. Not Jazz. Yaz, I'm not completely happy with, but time is still ticking, you know what I mean? With early days. Solid 8. Music, great. Doctor, great. Companions, great. Story, plenty of time.
I would probably rate it an 8.5 just because I really like the cinematography, but as everybody else said, there's a lot of pacing issues as far as the story, but I really liked the story of the companions. I thought they were really well fleshed out, but I just feel like the story had a lot of narrative problems toward the middle of it, but other than that, it was a pretty good episode, so I'd probably give it like an 8 or an 8.5.
Well, I love the visual effects. Like everybody said, the pacing a little bit off like that. I'm a little bit. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. And the one thing I'm a little bit waiting to find out how they're gonna. Hopefully, they survive from the way the episode ended. Them being with no air and gravity. So let's see how it works. So I'm sticking with my 8 out of 10. It was a good episode.
Let's see. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I have to get used to the new theme, which I did with Capaldi. I got used to it, and I said, okay, then it was decent. Character-wise, of course, Graham is awesome. Loved his character. The Doctor felt like the Doctor never left at all. It's just boom, the Doctor's back. Just a female. Love they didn't harp on the whole woman bit. Overall, yeah, 7.5 out of 10, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
On first viewing, I'll probably give this one a 9. It could change after I watch it again, after we're done doing the recording. I want to watch it again. Maybe my rating will change.
I had a lot of fun with this episode. I enjoyed it from the get-go. It kept me seated and watching it all. So for that reason, and for the fact that Jodie stood out for me as well as everybody else, it was a good story. In a nutshell, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Wonderful start, with a hope and an expectation that it gets even better in subsequent weeks, which I'm sure it will. Very good start, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10 myself. Like I said, the pacing was a little bit all over the place. The storyline, wasn't too bad. Jodie's performance, like I said, was pretty brilliant from my end of it. You really see that, she's really starting to, get into the role. But, we said the kind of same things back when, Peter Capaldi first started out. It took him a little while to find his feet as the Doctor. But at the same time, he got there in the end, didn't he? And I think that's going to be the same thing we're going to see with Jodie Whittaker. And like I said, I did like the cliffhanger bit at the end. It was very reminiscent of, when they were using the time ring all the way back in series 12. Where you got to see everybody flying around and all that in space and all that. Except, of course, with today's effects, they can make it look a lot damn niftier, which they did. And that's another thing I got to bring up. Special effects by DNEG were excellent. But, what can you expect? They're an Oscar award-winning special effects company. And just the fact that they've brought them into Doctor Who for this series, really shows they're seriously invested in trying to keep this show around. Otherwise, they could have hired some rinky-dink, company with an erector set and a couple of bad, film cameras, to do it, in which they didn't. So, yeah, solid 8 out of 10 for me. I think it's a good, solid, beginning. It could have been a wee bit better. The score was a bit overpowering in a few places. I'm glad somebody else noticed that. But I'm really looking forward, to episode 2 and seeing what they do next week. And that's when you'll see us again here for the Omega Files next week for the Ghost Monument. So until then, everybody, please take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy that tiny bit of your weekend that is left, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.